Hi, and welcome to Early Retirement Roadmap, the show where I help you prepare for and thrive in early retirement. Now, we've all used some to plan for retirement. I'm talking about retirement calculators. A retirement calculator makes you think it knows whether your money will last. But here's the thing, it cannot tell you what another year of work is costing you. It can't measure your energy, your health, the years you're still young enough to travel, ride your bike, garden, or just wake up without that Sunday night pit in your stomach, dreading the start of another stressful work week. And it definitely can't tell you when you've crossed the line from I need to work to I'm scared to stop. So that's what this episode is about. If you're in your 50s or 60s, this episode might save you more than money. It might save you time. And time is the one part of this equation that doesn't compound. Before we get into it, remember that this podcast is for educational purposes only. From my perspective, as someone who retired at 55, it is not personal financial advice. So make sure you run your own numbers and get professional help if and when you need it. Now, let me say this up front. I'm not anti calculator. That would be like being anti thermometer because you don't want a fever. Calculators are useful and have a place. They make you think about spending, inflation, taxes, healthcare, Social Security, all the moving parts. You should run the numbers, you should stress test the plan. But a retirement calculator, especially the ones using Monte Carlo simulations, can feel more precise than it actually is. You type in some numbers, it spits out an 87 or 92% maybe probability of success, and because it looks mathematical, it feels like it knows something you don't. But it doesn't. It's a bundle of assumptions, and if those assumptions don't match your real life, the answer can push you in exactly the wrong direction. This matters even more for early retirees. At 65, you're close to Medicare and Social Security. When you retire, say at 55, like I did in December of 2024, the gap of time is bigger. Health insurance, taxes, sequence of returns risk, and the years before traditional retirement benefits kick in all weigh more. So the calculator can make early retirement look scarier than it actually is. Not because it's lying to you, but because it doesn't know your life. Here are 5 ways it gets that wrong, and what I'd ask instead, and a different way to look at calculators, where they have their place and are a tool, but a tool to be used within the context of how retirement life actually works. So let's dig in. First of all, they assume your spending is a straight line. Most calculators assume you'll spend the same amount adjusted for inflation every single year for 30 years or more. Now, that's nice and clean and an easy way to go about it, but retirement doesn't work like that. It's a lot messier and not anywhere near that straightforward. Some years you travel, especially your younger years of retirement. You may have a year when your roof needs to be replaced. The years your health insurance, especially in early retirement, can make you question our entire healthcare system in America. Although, to be honest, I've been questioning that one for years. Other years are quieter. My spending didn't go flat the moment I retired, it just moved. I stopped spending on commuting, work clothes, and exhausted person convenience food, but I gained time, and time costs money too. More money for hobbies, money for the gardening and travel I now have time to do. More of the things I wanted retirement for. That's one of the things that surprised me after retiring early. You don't just remove work from your life and keep everything else exactly the same. Your calendar changes, your habits change, your energy changes, and yes, your spending changes too. Spending in retirement has seasons, often more active early on, often slower later, with healthcare and long term care as the big wild cards. A calculator that assumes a perfect staircase of rising spending forever may overstate what you actually need, or at least make the picture look more rigid than real life. So don't just ask what number you typed in, ask, does this spending pattern look actually like how my real actual life would be? Because if the spending pattern is wrong, the answer may be wrong too. Second, retirement calculators reward fear. Run the numbers again with one more year of work, and the plan almost always looks better. More savings, fewer withdrawal years, more growth. Maybe a better Social Security estimate, maybe one less year of high health insurance costs. Technically true, but almost any plan looks better with one more year, then one more, then one more year after that. If make the spreadsheet look better is the only goal, you'll never stop. Before I retired, I wanted the calculator to hand me certainty. I wanted some magical moment where it said, "Congrats, you're cleared for retirement." That moment doesn't ever come. You can have a strong plan and still have doubts. At some point, the goal stops being eliminate every risk and becomes understand the risk well enough to decide and live with it. That is a completely different mindset. A calculator can give you information, it can show you weak spots, it can help you test scenarios, but it cannot give you courage. And I think that's where a lot of people get stuck. They keep running calculators because they're looking for emotional certainty from a mathematical tool. But if your real question is, am I allowed to stop working now? The calculator can't fully answer that for you. It can support the decision, but it can't make the decision for you. Third, they totally miss your ability to be flexible. Most projections assume you spend the same amount no matter what. Mark it up, you spend. Mark it down, you still spend. But real life doesn't work that way, does it? Part of why I felt comfortable retiring early is that I knew I had room to move. If the market has a bad year, I can delay a big purchase, slow down travel, use my cash runway, rebalance carefully instead of selling stocks at the worst time, or make adjustments before a small problem becomes a big one. That flexibility has real value. Especially if you retire early, flexibility is not a side benefit, it's a big part of the plan. But most calculators give you very little credit for that because they model you as a robot with a withdrawal button instead of a person who can adapt. And early retirees usually are adaptable. You almost have to be. You're bridging years before Medicare. You may be managing taxable accounts, retirement accounts, Roth accounts, cash reserves, health insurance, and taxes all at the same time. That sounds complicated because it is. But it also means you may have more levers to pull than a simple calculator gives you credit for. Now, we're saying the opposite can happen too. If your assumptions are too rosy, the calculator can mislead you the other way. High returns, low inflation, low healthcare costs, no major repairs, no tax surprises, and perfect behavior every year is not a good retirement plan. A retirement plan that acts like a Hallmark movie is not a plan I'd be comfortable with. So the point is not that calculators are always too conservative. The point is that the number is only good as what's underneath it. If the assumptions are lazy and too positive, the answer is lazy and too positive. Fourth, calculators don't measure the cost of working longer. This is the one I think gets understated most, including by planners who are still working full time and may not fully feel what's on the other side of it. Once I retired, time changed shape. I don't dread Mondays anymore. They're just like every other day. A Wednesday morning became mine again. I could grocery shop when the store wasn't packed, garden when the weather was good, play piano, ride my bike, spend slow, ordinary time with my family. Before I retired, I thought free time would feel nice. I didn't realize how different life would feel when my best hours belonged to me again. After decades of organizing life around work, getting your time back isn't a small thing, it is the thing. A calculator doesn't see any of that. It just sees one more year of income and one fewer year of withdrawals. It doesn't know if your job is draining you. It doesn't know if your health is starting to whisper or even yell at you. In my case, hey, genius, maybe we should talk. It doesn't know if your spouse is ready, your parents are aging and need more of your time, or the trips you want to take are easier at 57 than 67. So the real question isn't, will one more year improve the plan? It almost always will. The real question is, what am I buying with that year? Real safety, a genuine gap closed, a pension milestone, a better health insurance bridge, a stronger cash cushion, or just a slightly prettier number? Now, don't get me wrong, there are real reasons to work another year. A pension milestone is real. Bridging healthcare is real. Paying off debt is real. Getting a kid through college is real. Building a solid cash runway that helps you sleep at night is real. Those are legitimate trades. The calculator move from 89 to 91% is a much shakier one. I'm not saying that number doesn't matter. I'm saying it may not matter enough to trade another year of your life for it. And that's a question only you can answer. Fifth, retirement calculators can turn retirement into a pass fail decision. I didn't retire because the calculator gave me a gold star. I retired because enough pieces were in place: a spending plan, a solid cash runway, a handle on health insurance, an investment and withdrawal strategy, room to adjust, to be flexible, a real conversation with myself and my wife about what retirement would look like. And maybe more importantly, I knew what I was retiring to. And that matters more than people think. If you're only retiring away from something, retirement can feel scary and make you question taking the leap into it. If you're retiring towards something, more time outside, more time with family, more time creating, moving your body, learning, traveling, or just living at a pace that doesn't feel like you're being chased all the time, it gets a lot cleaner. No calculator asks what you're retiring to, and that was one of the biggest surprises for me. Retirement readiness wasn't just a number, it was also whether I had built a life I wanted to step into. The math mattered, of course it does, but the math was not the whole decision. All right. So, how should you actually use these calculators? I like to think of them like a weather forecast, not a judge. A forecast helps you prepare, it tells you if a storm might be coming, it helps you decide whether to bring an umbrella or change plans. But you don't let a weather forecast run your life, do you? So, in the same way, use the calculators to warn you, stress test your plan, and check bad scenarios. Just don't let them be the final authority. Instead of taking the answer at face value, ask these five questions. First, if I work one more year, what actually changes? Does it change my savings, health insurance, social security, taxes, debt, or real risk? Or does my calculator results just look a little prettier? Second, what assumptions are driving the numbers a calculator is giving me? Am I assuming straight line spending forever, no ability to adjust, terrible returns, huge healthcare costs, or living to 100 when the plan only needs to be strong enough for the life I'm realistically planning for? Third, where's my flexibility? Do I have a solid cash runway, different account types, the option to work part time, expenses I can delay, the willingness and ability to actually adjust if markets turn bad, to move and live abroad for a few years to potentially really save on cost of living, plus have some great adventures? This is one I find myself thinking more about, not because we need to, but because I think we could potentially have a better quality of life for less and have some real cool adventures too, while my wife and I are still younger. Fourth, what does another year cost me? A year of better health, more time with my spouse, lower stress, a trip I keep putting off, time with family that I don't get back. And fifth, do I have enough answers to move forward, not with a perfect certainty that will never arrive, but enough? Before I retired, I thought the hard part was getting the numbers right. After retiring, I think the harder part is trusting the plan enough to actually live your life. There's a point where planning turns into procrastination. So don't ignore your calculator, use it, stress test the plan, build in margin, understand your healthcare, your taxes, your income sources, your withdrawal plan, and what you do if the market has a rough stretch. But once you've done the work, remember what the calculator can't see: your limited healthy years, your stress and the impact that's having on your health, and just your enjoyment of life in general, the trips you keep delaying, the time with your spouse, the version of you that comes back to life once work stops eating all the space. I retired at 55, not because every worry was gone. I retired because I'd answered enough of the big questions and the plan was strong and flexible enough to trust. At some point, I had to stop asking the calculator for permission to live my life. Retirement calculators are tools. They are not permission slips. If yours keeps telling you to work one more year, don't ignore it, but don't automatically obey it either. Ask what it's assuming. Ask what that year is actually worth to you. Because the goal is never the best possible probability of success percentage. It's a life you're glad you didn't postpone. And if this helped, my recent episode on the hidden costs of working longer goes even deeper into what I didn't see until after I left work. I'll link it in the description or show notes. Also, quick note, I'd like to invite you to consider joining my Patreon. You can join for free, and I have a lot of free tools for you to use. Things like my ACA Manji Estimator, Retirement Readiness Scorecard, Cash Runway Worksheet, 10 Ways to Lower Your ACA Premiums ebook, Treasury Bill Ladder Guide, CD Ladder Guide, Quarterly Retirement Review Worksheet, and more. I made those resources free because I want to help as many people as possible. And if you'd like to go a step further, the paid Roadmap member tier is now just $5 a month. That gives you early access to new podcast episodes, all of my podcast episodes ad free, and access to the private Roadmap member community discussion space where paid members can ask questions, share experiences, compare notes, and communicate with others who are thinking seriously about retirement. I'll participate regularly, but my goal is to build a real community, not just make it about me. You can join my Patreon for free or become a Roadmap member by using the link in the description or show notes. And go to mikeupland.com for all of my media. Thank you so much for listening, and until next time, take care and make the most of today.